And so we've been really working feverishly over the last few months to get the sample ballot and voter information guide together. There's just a tremendous amount of activity for this election. As we've mentioned before, it is going to be the largest gubernatorial election that we hope that's held in San Mateo County's history, primarily as a result of the conversions of SB 450 and also 415, which is the law that moved jurisdictions to even numbered years. And in 2022, all this really has come together, where normally we have in an election somewhere in the neighborhood of around 30, 35 jurisdictions participating. We are well over 70 in this election. And if you break down with the districts, we have even more jurisdictions. So it's a huge election logistically, just with the number of jurisdictions that are going to be participating. As I mentioned, we have 430,000 registered voters today. We will have over 200 candidates participating in the election. And that's again because we have so many elections going on of local governing boards that are also going to be held for this election. That will result in about 190 different ballot styles multiplied by 4 languages, which is pretty incredible. So we're up to close to almost 800 ballot styles for this election. Put things in mind, last election we had like about 30 or so. So and then multiplied by 4, maybe, just under 100. So this is huge in terms of the logistics of an election of this nature. As usual, election staff is doing an absolutely fabulous job in putting all of these loose ends together. The other area that's really important that we can use your assistance on, and that is in the recruitment and hiring of our elections staff. We've got just at this stage of the game, we're planning over 800 people that are going to be involved as employees and volunteers in our election. And we're in that process of onboarding many, but we still have many positions left. And that's in warehouse and VBM, couriers, volunteers. So you can go to our website and there's information there on how you can apply for these positions, but please help us in terms of recruiting folks over to participate in democracy as an election worker and election official in this election. Just a couple of other main points that we have. We'll have approximately 45 vote centers. We do have, I say approximately, we will have a mobile vote center that we're working on right now. I think that the most important thing is, of course, as Petra started here, is our voter education and outreach in preparing the community for an election. One of the biggest challenges that every elections official has in jurisdiction is voter engagement. I think we do very well here in San Mateo County with the network that we have. This meeting is a perfect example of that. But it's voter engagement. But it's not only voter engagement, it's becoming an informed voter. As Petra said, we have a lot of people that are very interested in climate change and the impacts of that from a social justice point of view to an environmental point of view. Extremely important subject for many people, but they don't get out and vote. And they don't get out and understand the actual dynamics of how elections work that has an impact on your everyday life. So part of our job here is to make an informed voter, to provide the opportunities for that. And it's really encouraging to see what Thrive is doing, to see what the League is doing, and also our community partners to get the word out that we have an election, but more importantly, to take the time to go on our website, look at the measures, look at the candidates, and understand the voting process and the measures and the candidates and the issues before you. So when you do cast your ballot, you know exactly that that's the person or area that you want to make sure you support. So becoming an informed voter is really, I think, one of our major challenges here in voter education and outreach. We do a great job in getting the word out. And it's not just a fault of us. It's tough to be an informed voter, to be honest with you. The last election, and here we are in the business of running elections. It took me about 2 hours when I really sat down and I wanted to understand all of the pros and the cons and the arguments for and against of the state and the local and the candidates. It took at least 2 hours to cast that ballot. So that's a lot of work. And unfortunately, some people aren't willing to put that in. And so our challenge is, how do we make this a process that people want to engage in? And I think, as you just mentioned, Petra, is having people understand the impacts of not voting and the impacts of voting and the importance of voting, and getting people engaged at that level. So there's just a lot going on. I thank our election staff. We have new people that have really stepped up to the plate at the supervisory level, at the ES3 level. Absolutely a tremendous job that everyone's doing. Thank you, Sarah. You're getting us out there on so many different media forms, from social media to traditional media, and to meetings like this. So again, I want to thank you all. Thank you, Petra. Thank the Voter Education Outreach Committee. And on behalf of Mark, thank you for the great job all of you are doing. And if you have any questions, it'd be my pleasure to answer.
Thank you, Jim. We're going to send this over to Sarah with more updates. Does anybody have any questions for Jim, either online or? Okay, Sarah, I'm going to actually.
Did you say there's 800 ballot styles?
That is correct. 190 times the largest, most ballot styles we've ever had in an election. And again, that's because the number of jurisdictions participating, and of course, then we get into the number of measures and state propositions, et cetera. But yes, there is. Oh, and the other impact there, which I didn't mention, I mentioned before though, is redistricting and districting. But redistricting, which is creating, for example, in Redwood City, where we had one jurisdiction before the Voters' Choice Act, or before redistricting. Now we have 7 jurisdictions there because we have 7 districts. Not all of them are participating in this election, but what used to be 1 jurisdiction is now 3 or 4 in a particular election. So that multiplies the number of ballot styles and the complexity of the ballot exponentially.
Thank you, Jim.
Pleasure, thank you.
Just going to say, he mentioned about 45 vote centers and 3 open on October 11th. That's the one at our main office on Tower Road, one at the South San Francisco Public Library, the main library, and one on the first floor of the Assessor Clerk Recorder's Office, 555 County Center in Redwood City. Then let's see, we have October 29th. We will have 6 more which will open. And from that point on, that's the 11-day centers. Right now it'll be weekdays when we open October 11th, but beginning October 29th, we'll be open every day. Let's see, then November 5th, we'll have everything open, which is a total of the 45 vote centers open until November 8th. We have the pop-ups 2 days in Pescadero and adding another voting opportunity in East Palo Alto. We have what we call them pop-ups because they're not the legal 4-day minimum vote center, but they'll have all the same things. We also have the mobile vote center that Jim mentioned. That one is going to the Half Moon Bay Airport for 2 days, and then the 2 days of the day before the election and election day, it'll be at Hillsdale Mall near H&M. Let's see, good place to send people, I'll tell you. That one can be quiet, but enough people that it's worthwhile. We'll be back at most locations where we were in June. We have 2 locations that are new. One is the Burlingame Community Center, and that's because it's a new building. And we're really happy to be there, and that should be our home forevermore in Burlingame. And the other location is in San Carlos. The name escapes me right now. I think it's on the sheets in the back of the meeting. It'll soon be on our website for those of you virtual, smcvote.org. We have a total of 50 drop boxes that are available, opening on October 10th. And last time we had 48 in June. We added, of course, the new community recreation center in Burlingame. We'll have one outside. And we added a drive up at the government parking structure, county government parking structure in Redwood City. They built a new structure and you can drive up and drop. There are about 9 or 10 actual drive up and put your ballot in. Many are, walk up. Let's see, and of course you can mail your ballot, and that's prepaid, ready to go. You have postage. Let's see if there's anything else in particular. I think that I have materials galore. If you need anything, please. Oh, I'm already getting a raised hand here.
So wait, while you were going through dates, can you just mention the date that we certify the selection?
It'll be 30 days from November 8th.
So November 38th. December 7th. Is my math right?
I think, well, are there 30 days in November,
What was-
31 in
Yeah.
December? So about December 8th, but it could be certified a
30
day or
days.
two early, but usually we take the full 30 days in order to make sure everything has been counted.
So I just want to put that in the list of dates that we talk about when we talk about elections. Because I feel like people get confused when they hear things on the news, and it takes a long time to come up.
And if it's close, it matters. If it's a landslide, it may not matter. But the first election results on the election day, November 8th, are far from final. Those first ones announced will be through the Saturday before the election for sure. If you vote at a vote center through that Tuesday, November 8th, those votes will come in that night and will be reported that night. Obviously, because there are vote centers everywhere in the county, that's the part that takes a while to come in. It takes a while for Pescadero to drive up and bring their ballots, etc. But even at that, as I say, election night, unless it's a landslide, those results can be far from final.
And I think that's something that's really important for us as community organizations to do, to talk about, because I think there's a trust issue, or they're like, oh, well, on election night, it said this, and now it says this. So it's really important for people to understand that election night is a very small percentage of votes. So that, again, with your role as trusted community members, it's really helpful to explain how that works.
We did a mailing of a postcard, let's see, right after Labor Day, September 6th, to all registered voters to give some basics about the election. We'll do another mailing to all registered voters on October 3rd. The final mailing for not all voters, for all voters that have not voted as of maybe October 22nd, maybe. We have to pull a list for the printer earlier than the date we mail. And that'll be people who haven't voted, to remind them that they can still vote, and remind them of the ways they can vote.
Do you have any insight into what's being mailed from the state? I got something about state ballot measures already.
I did not, but I know the state is already mailing its state voter guide. Not all, they give us a list every day of the zip codes that have gone out. So if you'd like to know about, your zip code, we can only say what is gone out. We can't go ahead. We don't know the future. With our sample ballot and voter information pamphlet, as it goes out today, or tomorrow, it's a flow mailing. It is not all at once. Traditionally, every voter gets English, and that is even if you've requested Spanish, Filipino, or Chinese. But then they will get their second booklet probably a week later. And that's because everything is turned into us by candidates and cities in English, and we have to translate, get it proofed, and the city approves, etc. So it does take a little bit longer to get those translations out. I think those are the main things.
Can you tell us a little bit about the media that you guys are doing outreach with? Oh.
Jim?
Yeah, go ahead and talk a little bit about the media and our network, and then I'll make a couple of comments. I just kind of wanted to add to a couple of things that Sarah mentioned. But go ahead, answer that question.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things, and I know some people here had liked it before in 2020, in the November election, we did the banners for each of the cities that have a place to put a banner over a street that will say, you know, like election date, and try to promote where their vote centers are and when they open and where their 24/7 drop box is. It may not list every opportunity in that city, but it lists the closer ones to wherever they're placing the banners. So those tend to be out about 2 weeks, again, probably around October 26th. Several cities have already said yes, and we're working on getting them printed. Those are really, you know, nice. You see them, you know, when you're driving down in San Mateo and Burlingame. In addition, let's see, of course, we buy a lot of time on Univision with their digital, their radio, a little bit of very little, I think, digital social media through Univision. Tsingtao, they do radio, they do a restaurant TV programming in Chinese restaurants. So that'll be in Chinese when people see it. Because Tsingtao has a newspaper and a website and a radio station. Also, let's see, we have tons of smaller newspapers that are for Japanese, Korean, Hindi languages, and I'm trying to think one more. Burmese, I do not have much in the way of media, but I have someone coming to our office October 6th who speaks Burmese, and so hopefully she'll help me out with that. And really, it's a matter of, I've been working on the outreach materials until now, and this is when I start working on all the purchases.
Is there any media that Sarah's not aware of that you want to share with her that you think would be useful to reach your communities?
Anything that you do during the news, Spanish is helpful. So any buys that happen around news time.
We don't buy so much in television,
Okay.
just so you know, because it's very expensive. It reaches 9 counties and we only need to reach 1. So, you know, we rely on that. The Secretary of State's office does buy, you know, media time on TV in our area because of so many counties being in the San Francisco Bay Area media market and the expense.
Okay, so what we found, though, we did a survey, and we found that most people who learned things in Spanish learned them. So it's super.
I'll pass that on.
It's hard to hear whomever is making that question or comment.
And we focus a lot on misinformation around elections in general. And the other part we focus on is the part of the community not vote. We encourage people to, those who can vote for the ones. That helps a lot because Latin Americans tend to So that was.
Okay. So the people on Zoom can't hear you?
They can't.
No, I need, that's okay. No, I'm just gonna,
Do a brief.
so
Synopsis, yeah.
Alice from 360 Peninsula,
Peninsula 360.
sorry,
Press.
Peninsula 360 Press, I just got those in the wrong order. That works with the Spanish language throughout the Peninsula media and works a lot on, I didn't know there was gonna be a quiz, on fighting misinformation.
Yeah.
And voter outreach, even though for those that can't vote.
Yeah, and voter outreach even for those who can't vote.
Just so you know, we have print and radio super strong. And,
And I believe your organization is getting a grant, is that correct?
Yes.
Will you be doing
Yes.
some radio
I
and,
would just, yeah.
okay, so I'll talk
Okay,
later to find
yes.
out about it, rather than maybe spend our media dollars.
No, I just need to know.
Yeah.
Yep,
We'll be sharing what everyone's doing very soon.
Yeah.
That's kind of next on the agenda, but we still have a couple of questions on Zoom. Jim, you have your hand up?
I was just going to add in terms of the elections infrastructure that when we were talking about casting the ballot, about 60% of the ballots are in hand and reported on election day. So, we'll do everything to basically report what we have on hand by Tuesday, but that's usually about 60%. We get 40% still coming in after. Remember, we operate under E+7 under the new law. That means that your ballot has to be postmarked on midnight of election day. If it's not, even if we get it later, we're not going to be able to process it. But if it is, we will process ballots all the way through E7 that come through the mail. That's really important. And another area, and we'll hear more about this, you'll hear a lot more about this, and that is that as we get closer to election day, the ballot drop-off at vote centers is also an important service that's provided. So we have curbside ballot drop-off at about 10 to a dozen vote centers in the county, which makes it really easy. It's an offshoot out of the COVID era there, where most people did not want to come into a vote center, but wanted to still drop it off to an election official. And we will still provide that service here. Very, very popular. A lot of the vote center activity that comes in is with that curbside ballot drop off. But again, really important to remind everyone to please sign your ballot envelope, the return ballot envelope. Most of the rejected ballots that we have are because people fail to sign their envelopes or their signature is ineligible. So all of this is, part of the process. Definitely a lot of information with our sample ballot and voter information guide that you're going to receive in your hands. It explains all of this. Also our website. And of course, you can always touch base with our people here in San Mateo at Tower Road and our community partners if you have any questions. But please stay connected. There's a lot going on and you will be hearing a lot more very soon.
gonna take a second to switch.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Mike, do you have a question? I'm assuming that's Mike on the phone.
Yes, this is just related to the media question. Has anybody ever looked into putting some information on public transit, whether it's buses, trains, ferries, if they've been willing to accept either a list of drop boxes or a list of polling places or just something, generic like that?
Okay, there will be ads on 100 Samtrans buses. We had to buy that so early that I'd forgotten about it and mentioning it earlier. 100 of 300 buses, they say, will give us exposure everywhere in the county. We're also preparing a flyer right now that we're trying to see if the different smaller buses, such as if the ones for the communities and the ones for certain senior center locations, if they'll post it on their bus, which is about, the election, again, some general information. I did want to mention, I know backtracking to Jim's statement, because I saw fear in eyes about rejecting ballots. So just backtracking a minute to that. And it's that if someone doesn't sign their ballot, or it doesn't match the signature, or they sign the wrong envelope, they sign their name to their wife's envelope, vice versa. The first thing we do is mail them a cure letter, a letter that they can sign and return to us in a postage paid return envelope. They can also usually, some of these things, they can call us, they can email us. For no signature, they do have to turn in the form or with their signature. That is allowed up until 2 days before certification. So that is the one thing that tends to, those numbers are not even final, because you have until, the 2 days before it's certified to still turn in your signature to have your ballot count.
Sarah, do you want to answer the question on chat?
Okay.
Sorry, you have a chance to read it.
Have data on which quarter ballots cast through the 30-day. That, for example, 40% of ballots are cast in the first 2 weeks. So that's why we didn't get. Okay, the person's asking, and this is League of Women Voters, that they're having their candidate forums before October 24th, because they believe they've heard that 40% of the ballots are turned in beforehand, before that date. And it depends. This has not been like exciting, I really want to vote in this election kind of thing. When there was COVID, people sent them early. That was a big message of ours. Mail it, drop it, vote early so we know we get it. The next couple elections, then I think for the recall, we still got some early, but it wasn't quite as many at all as we received for 2020's presidential election. Also, that was an exciting election to many people. The recall, not as exciting, but still, there were a lot of people interested. And we have not had a great number of calls or emails or registrations new yet for this election. So we'll see how exciting it is. People can, after October 24th, actually, you have to come into a vote center to register, and you can vote the same day. So if you're not registered, your friend's not registered, encourage them to come in person. If they haven't, try to get them to register now, but if not, they can come in and register and vote at the same time through Election Day.
Sarah, this is Margie Gator from the League who asked that question. I just want to clarify, it was someone else who was trying to organize a candidate forum who gave me that stat. We're happy to do forums the 24th or after, because we're getting squeezed with time because people don't want to do them later. And we actually had to decline.
I think it's about something like 0.04%, something like that, very small percent that end up being in that. They'd never get back to us after we asked them. If they have email, we'll go to that. If they have a phone number, we'll go to that in their voter registration. Unfortunately, a lot of the phone numbers are landlines that have been disconnected. So, that's one thing. If you update your registration, please include optional information on your registration form, which is phone number, email, and language. If you want to get your information for the election in Spanish, Chinese, or Filipino from us, also the state can provide it in 9 different languages. So if you go ahead and mark your preference, you'll get what's available in your language. Is Jim a new hand?
Yes, Jim?
Yeah, adding to your question there, just some interesting statistics, we've definitely moved into a vote by mail environment. About 90% of the ballots that are cast in the last election, in fact, it was even more, 95, were by mail. So we have only 5% voting in person at the vote centers. The dynamic that we are seeing There's recommendations out there that people should vote on election day and to vote actually in a vote center. So we're seeing more people show up at a vote center on election day. However, by far and away, the majority of the ballots cast are vote by mail. And we really start seeing that influx coming in that week before and that Saturday before. We're working overtime. We have people here to try and get as many of those in our first release. But it's really the releases after that catch the bulk of those that come in after Friday. But again, a very important point, not over 95% are vote by mail. And we have about 5% that vote up at the show at the vote centers. And vote centers are not highly utilized, unfortunately, to vote in person until election day. What vote centers do, and they do it very effectively, is they provide voter services for people who have questions, particularly first-time voters, those who lose their ballots, et cetera, and have a need for voter services. Those vote centers are highly utilized throughout the process for that service. In terms of voting, it's vote by mail, definitely 95%, and about 60% of them are in that weekend, and then we start getting them in after that on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, huge day, and then we have all of the ballot drop-offs that come in, and that's why there's a tail to the reporting, and that is just by design. That's the way the Voters' Choice Act is designed, is to give people options and time to vote, and that's why we don't have instant reporting on Tuesdays, like we used to when we had an electronic system where all the votes were tallied on one day. But anyway, 95% vote by mail for sure, low utilization at vote centers, except on election day when we see much more activity.
For those of you on Zoom, Diane just pointed out that vote by mail means by postage and also by drop boxes and delivery.
At vote centers.
Yes.
There was also, to your question, Emily, we funded a study a couple of years ago about missing ballot signatures, and that's where I think Sarah and others have cited the data of overall it's very low, but it's disproportionately very high among first-time voters, non-English language voters, and voters of color. So it's a bigger issue with communities that certain communities than others. When you say, yeah.
Sarah,
That's it for me, but you had a question.
why don't you tell us about all of the materials you have that you can share and about the social media that we can repost?
Okay, thank you. We have vote center Dropbox location flyers. Right now we have English, all the others are being printed, so we'll have those available very soon. We have copies of any postcard we've mailed. We also, one of the ones we mail is not to all voters, because the register to vote postcard that goes out via everyday direct mail in mostly the North Fair Oaks, East Palo Alto, Daly City, South City, San Bruno areas with lower registration. We have 5 different languages on the postcard saying what the dates are to register, the election date. We also have what we call quarter sheets. They're about 1/4 of a letter size sheet. They can go in grocery bags. Last election, we went out to about 80 different markets around the county and asked them if they put it on their counter, put it in the bag, but if they wouldn't do that, put it on their counter for people to take and post something in their store. We have bookmarks. The libraries are going to be distributing bookmarks beginning right now. And we do have more bookmarks available for those in person. I have some of these things in the back of the room. And let's see, what else are we? It seems like we make so many different things. It's that we do it in so many languages that it takes me a while.
For social media posts, where can we find those?
Social media, of course, there's SMC vote.org is our website. We have a Twitter and an Instagram, and those are SMC Vote. You're welcome to, and we'd love you to repost or comment to us on there so that we see your post and can repost if it's, you know, something election related. And we have so far received 2 different social media kits from the Secretary of State's office. And if you could probably find them on the Secretary of State's website. You can send me an email, give me a call, give me your business card if you're here in person, and just write on the back, send social media toolkit.
Great.
Okay.
Right, and there's a question that I can answer about where can I get a large number of voter registration forms? And you can go and visit Sarah at Tower Road.
Yes.
And
40 Tower Road, right?
40 Tower Road. We're across from the coroner, and no, there are no bodies there. They do have a Halloween tour, I will mention. I love it. So, but please get your voter registration cards before that day because we need them before, well, by October 24th. So just a plug for them. They do a great job every hour. I think it is maybe every half hour on their little tour.
And ballots start getting to voters October 10th, is that right? Or
Well, October 10th is a postal holiday.
okay,
So we are planning that our ballots will be mailed on October 7th.
okay.
That is coming out of Everett, Washington. So they'll get to San Francisco the 8th and then out to our voters throughout the week. I mean, even though we drop all of them at once, in this case, they don't tend to get to all voters at once. They do pretty quickly within 1 week. And we say, if you don't receive it in the mail by October 17th, give us a call. And of course, if you need another ballot because you made a mistake, you lost it, your dog ate it, give us a call. Yeah.
Linda,
Sarah or Jim, can you explain the requirements for people that hire age? It's also on the running.
the question is about hiring temporary workers.
I am not fully versed on the county's requirements on temporary workers. Linda, you might have the answer to share with us.
No, for you.
Well, we're county. Your county. Do you know what?
No, I'm asking
Oh, I don't know what the county's requirements are.
for age.
To be a courier?
Yeah.
Courier. Jim, do you have one of those flyers handy? Is it 18 minimum?
Yes, we will, we can hire 17-year-olds also, but 18 is the preferred age. But if you have a work permit, you can work at 17. And absolutely, we have a onboarding process for everybody that works in elections and that works in the county. So it takes a few days, sometimes up to a week, to do our onboarding. One of the primary areas is, of course, we have to do background checks, and those are Department of Justice background checks. We do fingerprinting, and then we also have a two-person integrity process just about throughout the whole elections process. Wherever there's a live ballot, we'll have at least 2 people. So we have to do a lot of verification in terms of background checks and fingerprinting for everybody. 8 out of 10 people pass it. It's really not that difficult, but it is a process we go through that everybody needs to be prepared. And then also we need to adjust because we would like to hire somebody immediately that day. It usually takes us 3, 4, 5 days to actually employ someone.
I want to mention we job fair on Saturday. The Elections Office is having a virtual job fair. I believe if you go to our website, you'll be able to get the information, but you'll be able to speak to hiring managers and ask questions about all the different positions.
That's also for volunteers.
I believe so.
Question was if it was for volunteers as well.
I mean, certainly they'd be happy to hear you're a volunteer and say, on our website, we have a volunteer application. If you have questions about what the volunteer might be doing, that's a good place to ask.
Student democracy program.
I know that the schools are being contacted by our office. If you have a particular school that I don't have the list of contacts, but I can look it up. And if you want to provide us a different contact.
I don't know if you could explain to the group what the
The student democracy program is for high school students through the schools. It's usually that they work the day of the election, very long day. They're called volunteers in a way. They're student democracy program volunteers. Both receive stipends. So it's not 100% volunteer. That's why they have to go through the county process, do a W-4, because they usually receive a stipend in the range of $200.
That could be great for any of you that are working with youth. Then you
Mhm.
wanna-
And it fills up fast, so you need to jump on it right away. Because it's gotten a lot more publicity in the last couple of years.
So-
Where's the information for that?
Website, everything's on the website. That's why we don't get as many calls or emails or other mail, because it's all there on the website.
smcvotes.org. And if you can't find it, you can always email Sarah
Yes.
or any of us.
On the topic of volunteers, do you know, are county employees encouraged to volunteer on election day, and can they do that on work time?
I know county employees have been encouraged to be couriers election night. I believe we've sent out 2 different county employee emails saying, hey, can you be a courier that night? I don't know in terms of if you work in the night, usually like even if you work for the assessor clerk recorder's office, you usually work your day and you submit a different thing to get paid for the time as a courier, because you get mileage as well as some pay.
I want to be mindful of time. It is just after 10:30, and so we've had some more people join us. And so what I'm going to do is briefly turning over to Jack to give an overview of the next hour, and then we're going to start sharing. And what I'd love to hear from everyone is just a really quick who you are, what your organization is, and just super high level, because there are lots of us in the room, what you're doing for voter outreach. But first, I will turn it to Jack.
Yeah, well, thanks, Petra and Sarah. So everyone joining on Zoom here in the room, if we haven't met yet in person, I'm Jack Mahoney. I'm from Silicon Valley Community Foundation. I'm the Director of Movement and Power Building, and I've been working with the county. This is now our 5th or 6th time working together on this voter outreach and education program. So our role at SVCF is essentially to be your aid and your crutch in your support as you need it, and get connected with the county in the work that you're doing. And so this meeting that we have today is kind of our kickoff meeting. So I can tell you a little bit more about the specifics of the grant opportunity and try to get your brains thinking about not just your project, but also who else is working in the same areas with the same population, so that you might be able to share ideas and resources or what have you. If you are not part of this grant program, I think you're welcome to hop off now, but of course you're welcome to stay as well. And so you can learn a little bit more about what everyone's going to be doing. And so as Petra said, we're going to start with introductions, and then we're going to go into breakout groups. And here in the room, we're going to have 2 breakout groups sorted by region. So one North County, one kind of South County. And then on Zoom, Yahaira is going to coordinate a breakout group with folks that couldn't be here in person. So what should I do now? should I share this? Yeah.
Did you say, Gracie, that's what they got the stipend program, or is that a different thing?
No,
Okay.
sorry. It's a separate program that we have. Yeah, that with the county that we're running through Silicon Valley Community Foundation.
I actually going to take a minute to explain that
Yes.
to everybody, because this has confused people, and I want to make sure everybody understands. There are 2 different ways that a lot of you in the room have been funded. One or the other mostly. So the Elections Office has taken some of their outreach budget and funneled it through Silicon Valley Community Foundation directly to community groups, which I have to just, again, for the 500th time say, that's really cool. It's really fantastic. So a lot of you were funded through Silicon Valley Community Foundation. The money is from the Elections Office. We are very grateful that they understand that you all really are trusted messengers and can do a great job. In addition to that, totally separate from that, Thrive has gotten funding from, confusingly, Silicon Valley Community Foundation, Grove Foundation, Atkinson Foundation to do stipends of $1,500 with toolkits. And we have toolkits in the back so you can see what it looks like, but that's actually available to anyone. The stipend has already been set to everybody that's going to get it, but we're happy to share out the electronically or physical print more things for you if you are interested in any of that. And you can look at the back table and see what that is. So two different things, the stipend people and the grantee people, but we're all working towards the same goal. So because of that, we're all in the same room together now. And for the next half hour, I want everyone to kind of share out to see if there are opportunities for people to be working more closely together.
Should we have received the link for the toolkit already if we signed up for interest, or is it still coming?
We will check in with you later. If anybody has specific issues, we can do that later, because I want to make sure that we have a chance to really quickly get through introductions and just high level what you're doing, and then we'll do breakout rooms to talk more specifically. Sound good? So Thrive Alliance, we're doing toolkits and lots of other things. So I'm going to, in order to make this work on Zoom, I'm going to pass my computer around.
Wow, very nice.
Very fancy.
Hi, everyone. This is YLI. I'm Ala Lee.
I'm Rod Spikes.
And we are doing a candidates forum in Daly City, as well as amplifying information around where to vote, as well as posters on school campuses, etc. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ana Avendaño. I'm the Executive Director for El Concilio of San Mateo County. And part of our work is to do outreach and education. And so naturally, people are going to come to our office. They're going to come talk to our staff. And they're going to want to know, like, what do I do with all this information? And we're also going to use that opportunity to tell them and encourage them and get them excited about voting. And I'm also thinking about the gaps, just like Anna said, about how can we educate those that can't vote, but also get them excited and giving them resources and toolkits so that they can tell other people in their families that can vote to encourage them to vote and be an informed voter.
Hi there, I'm Sally Neese. I'm the Youth Development Advisor for UC Cooperative Extension for San Mateo County. I'm new to my job. We're not a part of this grant, but I'm really just here to learn, and I'm definitely going to share these opportunities with the youth I work with.
Hi there, I'm Diane Leeds. I'm with San Francisco Peninsula People Power. As part of People Power, we're going to be up at Casa Yahansa up in Daly City, and along with People Power, we're going to have a number of other organizations being there with us, including Prisoners with Children, NEMS, BACTAC, I think there's one other one. And then secondly, I'm also in Ombudsman Services. So what we're doing is a concerted effort to reach out to all residents of long-term care facilities to make sure that their voter registration is updated, and also hopefully holding some ballot parties with them to help them understand how to vote.
So I've talked so much, you don't need an introduction, Sarah, elections, but what I forgot to mention, there's so many things, is that Second Harvest has asked if groups can do voter registration at like 16 of their different food distributions. And also they need people who speak other languages than English. So anyone who's available, any organization, please contact me. I have all the information and I'm trying to help with that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Francesca, and I'm with Rice South City. I'm the outreach coordinator, and so I'm excited to bring as much information as we can about this voter time to all of our Latino, Latinx communities and all the communities that are underserved in the South San Francisco area.
Hi, everyone. Oh, I'm contra luz. You can't see me, but I'm Annalie Miraz. I am from Casa Círculo Cultural and Peninsula 360 Press. They work in partnership. One covers the ground, so to speak, with canvassing and voter outreach person to person, while the other one does digital and media and more of the cloud in a way. So that's how we work. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, I'm in the shade as well. My name is Joan Ira. I work for Good to Know Network. We're an online resource for early learning and care providers in San Mateo County. We're hosting 2 Saturday morning meet and greet events for Good to Know subscribers and their friends and family, one in Northern California, or Northern San Mateo County, and one in Southern San Mateo County. We'll share voter information at these events. We'll post articles and about registering to vote and voting in San Mateo County in our weekly newsletter. We've already posted information about the candidate forums hosted by Thrive, and we will share League of Women voter outreach messages on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Linda Wolin. I'm a senior legislative aide for County Supervisor Dave Pine on the Board of Supervisors. And just FYI, we did pass a resolution for National Voter Registration Day, which was observed on September 20th. We had tried to do some events on that day, which didn't quite work out, but Supervisor Pine is trying to engage with youth, and we will be doing a presentation to several social studies students at Cappuccino High later in this month, and to encourage voter registration for those eligible and pre-registration also, and outreach on the Student Democracy Program and other opportunities for you to get involved in the election. And we're happy to do that elsewhere if people have any ideas. And I would encourage all of you in your events, if it's worth it, whether it be Supervisor Pine or another elected official, sometimes it's could be inspiring to have an elected official come and talk about why they're involved in public service, and maybe give another angle on elections and what they mean, and not campaign people. I'm just saying, like, people who work in public service. And some of the staff is also available to answer questions, and particularly for the youth. So thank you very much.
I think I'll do it like that, so everyone can see me. Very smart. Hello, everyone. My name is Maritza, and I am an outreach coordinator program for Nuestra Casa of East Palo Alto. So we're based in East Palo Alto, but we serve North Fair Oaks and Bellhaven and East Palo Alto communities. And I do coordinate activities and outreach activities, but I'm deeply engaged with civic engagement program, which we are working right now. And so this is about voting and education and outreach about civic engagement. So that's why I'm here, learning, and of course to contribute with the organization and as well with my community to be able to reach out to important information. Yes, thank you.
My name is Tom Weissmiller. I'm the Secretary of the San Mateo County Republican Central Committee. And a lot of what we do is we get a lot of inquiries from our voters, and they're in the voting process is spelled out, but it can be very overwhelming. So we try to simplify it so that they do know how to get their vote out. And I'm here to make sure I'm up to date on what's going on.
Hi, I'm Julie Shanson. I'm with Bellhaven Action, and we work in the Bellhaven neighborhood with a little crossover up to North Fair Oaks and a little bit down to East Palo Alto. We have an outreach team that will be sharing information about how to vote and when to vote, where to vote, and how to make sure you're registered to vote. Thank you.
You all see my screen?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Not
Awesome.
if we're on the phone.
Okay, you're on the phone, but I will read out the question. So, sharing plans, a brief description of your groups, of your project's target population, precincts and strategy, quick highlights from your project, challenges you anticipate. So that's what we are going to share. And I asked that we begin with Ben. Are you able to see the screen?
Were you talking to me?
Yes. Hi,
Yeah.
Ben.
I am.
You're able to see the screen. Okay. So
Yep.
we're going to start with you and CID. If you can see the screen, I'll read the questions out loud one more time. And then
Okay.
after you're done, I ask you to popcorn it off to someone on this call. And
Okay.
we are all are gonna have some time to share what we're doing, what we're working on. And the
Okay.
questions are again for those on the phone. We will need a brief description of your project that you're currently working on. Who is your target population? And what are some strategies for engaging folks? And then we would like some quick highlights from that project and any challenges that you anticipate. So it's a quick 1 or 2 minute thing until Jack calls us back all together. Okay? Go ahead, Ben. I will spotlight you for everyone.
Aspects of the voting process, such as getting the plan together, understanding how to educate voters around issues, propositions, candidates, explaining what redistricting is, that whole sort of thing, to give people a real idea of all the voting process. And our next webinar will reflect on making a plan. I will send it off to Marion.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Marianne?
Sure. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I don't know if you can see me, but I just turned my camera on. And yes, I'm with Bay Area Community Health Advisory. And also I have a nonprofit small family organization, and that's called Ask Academy. So we have projects, you know, that we do together. And the one project we're on right now is the Kase Hassan. And that's a Filipino American month celebration in Daly City that I will be sharing a table with Diane Leeds. And we're still working on logistics on that, because we're going to share a table with San Francisco Peninsula People Power and also NIMS. Basically giving registration information and materials. And as far as Ask Academy and Bay Area Community Health Advisory, we have a PTO, Bayshore Elementary School District block party coming up at the end of October. So we will have an information booth. We can give out the information and answer questions for that. And yeah, so I'm engaging youth in both of those projects, with the Kasai Hassan and also with the Bayshore Block Party. So we have youth interns, they're high school interns, and they're on a workforce development program. That was a pilot program starting in this past summer. And it's called the YE program. And also I coordinate students in the Community Engaged Learning Program at UCSF, San Francisco. Yeah. So we'll be engaging those students in the tabling and outreach.
Great. Thank you, Marianne, for the quick update. I will go ahead and pass it on to Margie Gator. Go ahead, Margie.
Hi, thank you. This is Margie Gator from the League of Women Voters of North and Central San Mateo counties. So we cover the north part of the county from Daly City, including all the coast side, and as far down as San Carlos. Our colleagues from South County take it from there to the southern border. We are very busy with candidate forums, pros and cons sessions on the ballot propositions, and voter registration tabling at various places. We have 10 candidate forums already scheduled, and the bulk of those are happening starting now until about October 24th, because people seem to be reluctant to schedule them after that. We'd be happy to do more. We have about 10 pros and cons sessions to educate people on propositions, pros and cons in a neutral, nonpartisan way. Voter registration, we have various tabling opportunities, including a couple in Pescadero partnering with Puente. Challenges we are facing is we did a candidate forum in Daly City last week, which in person went great. Absolutely fine. It was well attended. We had lots of great questions. And afterwards, we got seriously trolled on email for just seriously trolled by election trolls. And boy, if people have some suggestions on dealing with that, other than not engaging with most of it, I'd love to hear about it. And that's me. Thank you.
Okay.
How about Jeff Ryder?
All right. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, my name is Jeff Ryder. I'm Margie's counterpart, League of Women Voters, South San Mateo County. So yeah, we also have the pros and cons that people have spoken about. That's great stuff, and the candidate forums. I'm part of the voter service organization that does outreach. Redwood City area is bilingual herself. So a couple things we're doing. Well, number one, we would love to work with any of the groups here in our area. We'll assist you with tabling. We even lend you tables and chairs or whatever you need from our stock, that kind of thing. We do targeted outreach. We hired and we will hire again in the fall data analysts, young bilingual data analysts from the community to look at who we should be targeting. And then we have kind of the in-person program and also a digital program where we use Google Ads very tightly targeted in neighborhoods to say, hey, you should check out the county website if you have voter questions. So kind of that bundle of activities. And if any of that is helpful for our sister organizations here, please let us know. Happy to share. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Is Mike still on the call?
Yes. Yeah, mine is very brief. I'm not involved with any organizations that are doing major outreach prior to this election, but for many years I've been working on legislation having to do with the California Disclose Act, and that really opens up, list of who the major donors are and how you, get to vote on certain issues and what information has to be disclosed on ballots or in pamphlets or in social media. And so that's the latest bill we have in the legislature now, is to get the actual donors for and against propositions and candidates to be on the ballot itself. So we're hoping the governor signs that in the next few days. But there's nothing left other than supporting the bill and trying to make public comments to the governor's office at this point.
Great.
So that's all that's active right now, and get out the vote for some of the organizations that I'm with.
Yes. Thank you, Mike, for sharing. I see Eric on my screen. Eric, would you like to share?
Yes, hello. My name is Eric Sapp. I'm an attorney at Legal Services for Prisoners with Children, and our target population is formerly and currently incarcerated individuals, and we want to raise awareness about eligibility. A lot of people don't realize that most people in the jails are eligible to vote. In a pretrial situation, no one has lost their voting eligibility, and under Prop 17, only those serving prison sentences are ineligible to vote. So most people in the jail context and people on parole or probation, supervised release are generally eligible if they're otherwise eligible for citizenship age requirements. One of the projects we want to do is actually this October go into McGuire and Maple Street and in-person registration. The main obstacle there is going to be getting approval from the sheriff, and of course the time constraints that we're all facing. Anyone who wants to work in general about raising awareness among formerly and currently incarcerated individuals and their families, contact me. I put my email in the chat, and I'd love to work with anybody in this meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Eric, for sharing. I see Vinny. Vinny, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Vinny. Welcome.
Yeah, this is Benny Acevedo from Healthways. We're based in Daly City, but our area of responsibilities within the North County and throughout California. So our target beneficiaries or target population are covered California and medical health consumers. But the highlight of this project that we're doing right now are the naturalized citizens. And we have a motto that we just adopted for this election period, is that whenever we talk to people, either in person or over the phone or text messaging, we always say, oh, it's election time. And then we would get a variety of responses from people that we talk to. Yeah, for example, people who are who have registered to vote but they don't vote. They would say, oh, I'm registered when I was naturalized, but I don't vote. And then we start the conversation from there and try to educate them, convince them that their vote counts, and it's very important for them to to really vote. The challenge that we have encountered so far is that many people don't know where the voting centers or how to vote. So because they complain that they get so much paper on the mail and they have difficulties reading. So we try to to simplify with them about the information that they're sent to, that they receive, I should say. The other challenge is that they voters would like to get feedback from us about those about the candidates, and we're not allowed to do that. So we just educate them about the background or the platform of these different candidates. But many voters would say, oh, who should I vote for? Can you tell me who I should be voting for? And that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, especially in Daly City among the immigrants, new immigrants. So that's all that we I can share about our efforts right now.
Thank you, Vinny. Really appreciate you being here and sharing that with us. In terms of not knowing where to vote, Sarah is a good contact to.
Yeah, that's why I'm in contact with with Sarah. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have time for one more. We have about a minute. If anyone else has wants to share, would like to share what they're working on, I'd love to hear it. And then we're gonna go back to the big group. I see Alexis. Hi, Alexis. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Happy that you're here.
Good morning, everybody. I am the first vice president of the San Mateo NAACP and also chair of our political action committee. We will be working on voter registration and get out to vote events next month. We're going to partner with the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and we plan to have 2 locations, one in East Palo Alto and another one in North Central San Mateo. And we're choosing locations that seem to have low voter turnout. and we're hoping to boost that participation in those two communities. The exact locations of our events are yet to be determined, but we will have it all on our website probably the second week of October before we're going to meet. And thank you, and thanks for inviting me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So that's about it for our sharing time. Let me go back into the big group, and Jack will direct us with the following information. Thank you all for being so patient with us. It's our second in-person thing, and we did not expect this emergency drill, but we're excited to perfect this process as we go.
Let's hope that we'll be able to mobilize voters to like the fire drill.
So I hope that was enough time for you all to get to know each other. I am planning to share everyone's contact details if you're okay with that. If you're not, just let me know. I mean, you can follow up with the folks that you met here. We do have just a couple of slides about the grant program specifically that we do need to cover before the end of today's meeting, and I should be standing over here so everyone can hear me. But hi everyone, again, Jack Mahoney, Silicon Valley Community Foundation. Before we do wrap up today in the next 15 minutes, I'm just going to run through a little bit of information about the grant program specifically. Yahaira, if you could go to the next slide, please. So again, we're just talking about the purpose of this fund, right? It's not a get out the vote fund necessarily. As Jim and Sarah have mentioned, the resources are created so that you can, as a trusted messenger, help inform voters about the ways they can safely and securely cast a ballot if they'd like to, right? So that's just something I want to mention as we start out here. Again, as you're doing your all of this should be nonpartisan, non-political vote outreach programs, right? But the importance or the messages that you're trying to get out really should focus on that they have the option to vote, and this is the way that they can vote safely and securely. Could you go to the next slide? Is one thing that's very important. These are public dollars, right? So I need to double down on this. This is also in your grant agreements, but funding cannot be used for advocacy on behalf of or against any issue or candidate on the ballot. This is extremely important. The most important thing I'm going to say today. Please be mindful of the fact that these are public dollars. They're not the community foundation's resources. And this is a grant that just rises to a special level of certainty. So just wanted to make sure everyone knows that. If you do have any questions about kind of how to navigate that, please come to me and we can talk through it more specifically. Okay, next slide, please. If you need materials, this is just repeating what Sarah said earlier, but a lot of materials that are out there are not specific to San Mateo County, right? And so we're trying to reach San Mateo County voters and want to make sure that we're putting information out there that is including the information about the 45 vote centers, about when they're open, and not kind of statewide information or information that might pertain to another county like San Francisco or Alameda County or Santa Clara County. Sarah, is that your correct email, Sarah? Okay, we're gonna assume it's Sarah's correct email, and I'll copy you on there. And if you do choose to make your own information, if you could take the time just to run it by the elections office, just so that they can confirm that the information matches what they're presenting as well. And we just have one more slide. So the first thing is please try to save your receipts. right? So if you do like get anything printed, if you buy anything, just make sure you're saving that information so we can collect it later. And then the next thing that's important for us is, of course, again, this is public money, and we want to be able to report to the Board of Supervisors and to others that this money was well spent in reaching voters. So if you could, to the best of your ability, record how many events you've held, how many voters you think you have reached. Of course, that can be difficult given the tactics you're using, but just try to the best of your ability to record it. And if there are any lessons for the future, if there's any, this is what we're going to talk about after the program is over. I'm going to hold individual calls with each of you. They're 30-minute calls. The purpose really is to figure out kind of what worked, what didn't work, what we might do differently in 2024 if were this program to continue. There's no report that's due. No, when I say that, I mean you don't have to do a written report. You will have to submit a budget of actual spending and everything like that. And again, you may need to share the receipts with us. But just so you know, you do not need to write a report and email it to me. I'm going to call you, and then I'm going to draft the report, and then we're going to do that in December and then report back to the county. Okay, I think that is it. Sarah, did I miss anything, or Petra, did I miss anything? Is Petra here? Okay, there she is. Okay, it's right email. We did it right. Okay, good. Well, with that being said, I want to thank all of you for joining on short notice. I would like to give you more than a week notice next time before these meetings, but we're trying to move quickly and appreciate your patience on that. The last thing I also want to say is that we have started processing your grants. We submitted them yesterday, and you should be getting them hopefully in the next 10 to 14 days. If you haven't received your grant by October 9th, the day that the ballots should be, hitting mailboxes, come let me know, and we'll talk about it. The other thing I do want to say also, sorry, is that your grant agreements, they're not award letters. They require a signature. So you should look out for a signature from SVCF. It's through an app that's called Signatory. And before you email me to be like, where's my grant agreement? What the heck, Jack? Just check your spam folder. Sometimes it gets caught in there. Anyway, all this to say, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I think this is, I'm so proud that we can run this program and that the county's partnering with us in this. I think you do a phenomenal job reaching voters that otherwise wouldn't be receiving information about the election. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. Yeah.